Bruchim haboim. Welcome everyone. We're about to begin Be'ezras Hashem together in Daf Kuf Mem Hey Amud Aleph. 4 lines from the top. In regard to Schitas Peiros on Shabbos, the Mishnah states the following: Ein soichtin as ha-peiros lohoitzi mehen mashkin. And now those that medaik, why does it have to say in the Mishnah that you should not soichtin as ha-peiros lohoitzi as ha-mashkin? Certainly, it's the juice, the mashkin that comes out of peiros. Therefore, they're medaik, that's a remez, that a person who is soichit as ha-peiros l'kedeira, as Shmuel has taught us, where there is food inside of the kedeira, a person squeezed out, let's say, olives or grapes into that food in the pot, that's considered to be oichel. And therefore, since it's considered to be oichel, hamashke ba la'oichel oichel, it's permissible. That which the Mishnah states that is prohibited is then it was considered to be that which is mashke. And therefore, only if you then squeeze it, let's say, into a ka'ara, into a bowl, would that be then the chiyuv deraisa of Schitas Peiros, which is a tolda of Dosh, the malach of Mefarik. Says the Gemara on Rabbi Yirmiyahu Kitanoi, this that we are saying in the name of Shmuel, that hamashke haba me oichel, that is going to be considered a machlekes tanoim. Says the Gemara, hamechalek ba'anovim loy huchshar. It states that a person wants to take the juice of anovim, the grape juice, squeeze the grapes, and then put it onto bread before he bakes it. Lo huchshar is not going to be muchshar, it says over here, to be considered to be that is mekabel tuma. Rabbi Yehuda oimer huchshar. Rabbi Yehuda said it is huchshar because it's considered to be a mashke. So we have the Tanakama who states that it's lo huchshar because it's oichel. Haba, mashke haba me oichel is oichel, whereas the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda seems to imply that haba, mashke haba me oichel is mashke, and that's why it is huchshar. It is going to then something that's going to be susceptible to mekabel tuma. My lab b'hokam ifli, the Gemara then speaks this out. Isn't this the machlekes? Mar savar mashke haba la oichel hu, whereas mar savar lav oichel hu. The one who says that the Tanakama who says Amachli Banovim lo huchshar, he considers it to be oichel, and therefore it's not muchshar. But according to Rabbi Yehuda, that it is mashke, it is mashke, and therefore it is machshir the bread. Omra Papa. So we have a machlokes tanoim in Shmuel's statement if we say a mashke bo la oichel is oichel or not. Omra Papa, the kuli alma mashke bala oichel lab oichel. Rav Papa argues and says, no, everybody holds that haba, hamashke bala oichel is indeed not oichel. And we can explain the machlokes tanoim that we just said now as follows: V'hocha b'mashke bala ibud kemifli. The Tanakam and Rabbi Yehuda are arguing in regards to mashke that goes to waste, as follows: Mar savar mashkehu, mar savar la mashkehu. The opinion that says that it is muchshar, the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda, holds that which is going to the ibud is still considered to be a mashke, and therefore it's machshir the bread to mekabel tuma, whereas the Tanakama says not. Uplukta dahani tanoi, and they are arguing with the same machlokas as the following tanoim. The Tanya states in the Brisa, "Hamefatzeya bezeisim biyodayim misuavois huchshar." One who bruises the zeisim, he wants to soften the zeisim to make them sweeter and tastier, and his hands are considered to be that which are dirty, and therefore if they come in contact with truma, they're going to then metame them. So here he wants that the zeisim exude some of its shemen because it makes the zeisim sweeter, and therefore it's going to be huchshar. Lesoifton b'melach lo huchshar. But if he just bruises them in order to then take out some of the oil, so that the olives will then the salt will stick to the olives, then he doesn't really want that the the oil should exude from the olives, and therefore it's not huchshar. Leida im higiu l'zeisav l'msoik im lav. If he just wants to see whether then they're ready to then be put into the vat and be processed, then it's not huchshar, that oil which comes out, because again, he doesn't want the oil to come out. He just wants to test to see if it's ready. Rabbi Yehuda said it is huchshar. Ask the Gemara, what's the machlokis, whether it's huchshar or not huchshar according to Rabbi Yehuda or the Tanakama, if you're checking in order to then put it for the masuk. My lab behoka mifli, the mar sovar mashka oimed liibud mashkehu. Is it not that Rabbi Yehuda is the one who holds that mashke that goes to waste is considered to be mashke, and over here he just wants to test to see if it's ready to go to the masuk or not? Umar sovar lo mashkehu, and the other one says that holich liibud is not considered to be a mashke, and therefore it's not huchshar. So we want to say at this point that the machloikis that we said before in regards to hamachli ba'anovim, that's a machloikis, whether you say hamashke bola oichel oichel, then we rejected that and said no, everybody holds hamashke habola oichel lav oichel, and we then said that the machloikis of hamachli ba'anovim is a machlokes holech liibud or not, just like this machlokes tanoim over here in regards to when one wants to check the olives to see if they're ready to be moisek or not. On that, the Gemara says, Omar Rav Yehuna b'Rav Yoshua hani tanoi b'mashka oime liibud pligi. No, it says the latter machlokes in regards to testing whether they're ready for moisek or not, that is a machlokes of holech liibud or not. But the original machlokes is hamachlik, when you put the juice on the bread to be baked, that's not that machlokes. They're arguing about if you put mashke, in this case, the juice of the grapes, onto the bread, if you wanted to then to shine the bread, if that's considered to be now considered a mashke still, or it loses its shame as a mashke or not. Rav Zera, Rav Chia bar Ashi Rav. Says the Gemara weiter, Rav Zera, Rav Chia bar Ashi Rav. Soichet Adam eshkol shel anovim letoich hakedera, aval lo letoich haka'ara. If a person squeezes a cluster of grapes into a kedera with food in it, then he's able to do so because, like we're saying, that hamashke bola oichel is going to be considered to be oichel according to the statement of Rav. Aval loy letoich haka'ara, but you can't squeeze it into a bowl. V'dag letziroi afil letoich haka'ara. If you squeeze out the juice of the fish, the brine, even inside of a ka'ara, a bowl, it's mutter. So you see over here that he considers to be that juice is not going to be considered to be that brine, a mashke. Even though it's going to be squeezed into a ka'ara, we don't look at it as a mashke from the beginning. So this statement was the name of Rav. So the Gemara, Yosef Rav Dimi v'ka'omar lo hashmaitzo. Rav Dimi then said this over in the name of Rav. Again, that one can go ahead and squeeze the fish even into a bowl. Omar le Abai le Rav Dimi. Abai says to Rav Dimi, Atun mishmei de Rav masnisun v'lo kashlechu. You taught this statement that you can squeeze the brine out of the fish into a bowl in the name of Rav, and it's not a kasha to you. But anon mishmei de Shmuel masninon lo v'kashyalon. We taught the same statement in the name of Shmuel, and it is going to be a kasha on us, on Shmuel. Ask the Gemara to explain. What does it mean that if you teach in the name of Shmuel, be a kasha on Shmuel himself? As follows: Mi amar Shmuel dog litziroi afil toch hakara. Did Shmuel say that if you go ahead and squeeze the brine out of the fish inside a bowl, that indeed is mutter? Did Shmuel say that? V'ha'itma, behold, it says kvoshim shesochton. Kvoshim is if you take vegetables and you let them sit into vinegar by pickling them, and then you squeeze out. It says over here that juice from that was pickled in those vegetables. So there's a machlokes. Omar Rav, if it's legufon, mutter limei mehen. Legufon, mutter. If you're squeezing it out just because you want then to be not to this for eating purposes of the vegetables, then it's mutter. But if it's lemei mehen, pater aval aser. But if it's for the juice, then it's pater aval aser, because then you're going to then squeeze them out. You're squeezing out the vinegar from these vegetables, and that's a regular way of getting rid of the juice. Thereby, it's a iser d'Rabbanan, for a person might then squeeze out zeisim va'anovim, which is an iser d'Oraisa. V'shlokois bein legufon bein lememehen mutter. Rav goes on to say, when it comes to shlokos, those vegetables that were cooked very, very well, those that were cooked very well, you squeeze that juice out either for themselves or for their juice. That's mutter, because a person doesn't do that for the juice. He doesn't normally squeeze those things out for the juice altogether. That's how Rav learns. Ushmuel omar echad kevashim ve'echad shlokois legufon mutter. Whether it's shlokois or kevashim, if it's for the goof, for the item themselves, either the vegetables, for the vegetables themselves, then it's mutter. If it's lemei mehen, pater aval aser. But if it's for the juice, then it's pater aval aser. So here we see that, according to Shmuel, the kavashim, the shlokos rather, if you squeeze them out, even for their juice, he's saying that it's going to be aser. And yet Shmuel said, when it comes to squeezing out the fish for the brine, you can do that lichatchila. If that indeed was stated by Shmuel, then we'll have a steer with the Shmuel, because squeezing out the brine from the fish is equivalent to squeezing out squeezing out shlokos. So therefore, if Shmuel says that shlokos is going to be something that's also to do, then he could not be saying that you can squeeze out the brine from the fish. Omar lei. So Rav Dimi says back to Abaye, Ho'elokim. Einai, he brings a pasuk, Einai ro v'lo zar. My eyes saw, and it was not foreign. Means my eyes themselves saw, as follows. Mipume de Rabbi Yirmiyahu shmiali. From the mouth of Rabbi Yirmiyahu, I heard with my own ears. Rabbi Yirmiyahu ben Rabbi Zera. And Rabbi Yirmiyahu had a Masorah that he heard it from Rabbi Zera. Rabbi Zera ben Rav Chia bar Ashi. And Rav Zera heard it from Rav Chia bar Ashi. Rav Chia bar Ashi me Rav, and Rav Chia bar Ashi me Rav. So it comes out that I am clear, and I'm clear that this statement was made in the name of Rav, that you can squeeze out brine from a fish, and thereby it doesn't pose a question. Says the Gemara weiter, Gufa. Kavashim shesochton, bringing back the statement that kavashim, that you squeeze out the kavashim. Omar Rav states, if it's legufon mutter, if it's for the vegetables themselves, you want to eat the vegetables that shouldn't be wet and soaked, then go ahead and do so. It's mutter, he says Rav. If it's lemei mehen, however, then it's pater aval aser. But if it's going to be something for the juice, then that's a form people do that. And again, it's aser d'Rabbanan, because a person may come to then squeeze out olives and grapes on Shabbos, was an iser d'Oraisa. Ushmuel Omar, and Shmuel stated, Echad zeh ve'echad zeh legufon mutter. Whether it's kvashim or shlokos, they're both mutter. They're both going to be mutter if it's legufon. If it's lemeyan, pater aval aser. But if they're both going to be, if it's for the liquid, then it's going to be pater aval aser, because people, according to Shmuel, do also squeeze out the shlokos for their juice. Rabbi Yochanan Omar echad kavashim echad shlokos legufon mutter lememei and chayiv chatos. Rabbi Yochanan says that if you squeeze them out for themselves, then you can do that lechatchila. However, if you do it for the juice, then that's going to be chayiv chatos according to Rabbi Yochanan. Meisvei, the Gemara now asks, soichtin kavashim b'Shabbos letzorich haShabbos aval lo lemotzei Shabbos. You can squeeze out kavashim for Shabbos, but not for Motzei Shabbos. That would be a preparation for the weekday, and that would be a zilzal to Shabbos, aser midirabanan. V'zeisim v'anovim lo yischot v'imsochet chayiv chatos. But squeezing out grapes or olives would be an iser deraisa, would be chayiv chatos. So that here we see that over here that indeed the Bryce is telling us, if you want to squeeze out kavashim b'Shabbos, letzorich Shabbos, you can do so. And here the Brisa doesn't seem to distinguish whether it's legufon or lemei mehen. So the Gemara says it's a kasha on everybody that we saw until now. Kasha l'Rav, kasha l'Shmuel, And it's kasha to Rabbi Yochanan. It's a kasha to each and one of these Amoraim who said that kavashim, if it's legufon, you could squeeze it out on Shabbos, but if it's lememehen, it's aser. Answers the Gemara: Rav mitaritz l'tamei, Shmuel mitaritz l'tamei, Rabbi Yochanan mitaritz l'tamei. Each one will explain according to his reasoning. Beginning with Rav. Rav mitaritz l'tamei. Soichtin kevashim b'Shabbos l'tzorich haShabbos aval lo l'motzei Shabbos. The Brisa says you can be soichet kevashim for Shabbos, not for motzei Shabbos. Ba'med dvar. He says Rav to explain when is this talking about. That's legufon for the vegetables themselves. Aval l'meimehen poter aval oser. But if you can do it for the juice, that way poter aval oser. If you're going to squeeze them out for the kevashim, shloko is bein legufon bein l'meimehen muter. Where shlokos, if it's going to be either for the vegetables themselves or for the juice, then that's going to be mutter, because something, according to Rav, people do not squeeze them out. So that's how Rav explains up this brisa by saying this distinction between kvashim, whether it's legufan or lemeimehen. Shmuel metaris letamei. Shmuel, he explains according to his reasoning. Soichtin kevashim b'Shabbat l'soich haShabbat v'uadin l'shlokos. He says the Brisa is saying Soichtin Kevashim on Shabbat, and he also is referring to Shlokos. Bamed Dvar Mamun. When is this true that one can go ahead and squeeze both Kevashim and Shlokos? Legufon. That's when he does so for the vegetables themselves. Aval Lememehen Poter Aval Oser. If he's doing for the juice, then it's Poter Aval Oser. V'zeit Manov Nayischav Im Sochet Chayiv Chatos. So therefore, Shmuel over here says that we can explain the Brisa. It's talking about both kvashim and shlokos, and it's only going to be mutter if it's legufon, if it's lememein, it's going to be aser. Rabbi Yochanan betaris l'taimei, whereas Rabbi Yochanan also explains according to his reasoning. Soichetin kvashim litzarich haShabbos, avalo lemotzei Shabbos, echad kvashim ve'echad shlokos. That which is the Brisa is saying that you can go ahead and soichet kvashim for Shabbos. L'tzorich Shabbos, for Motzei Shabbos, you can't be soichet, not kavashim, not shlokos. Bamed v'mamun. When is this so? Legufon. When you're going to have soichet the kavashim for themselves, for the vegetables. Aval l'meimehen lo yischot. But if it's for the juice, then you can't. V'im sochet. If you do, then nase kemisha sochat zeisim v'anovim v'chayiv chatas. Then it's going to be chayiv chatas, just like you are them soichet anovim and zeisim, which is an Isser Deraisa Mefarek. It'll also be considered to be an Isser Deraisa to be then Soichet, the Kavashim, and the Shlokos, if it's going to be Letzorich, the Meimehen.